Alright. So guys, is the audio okay? Before I start yapping and talking again, I hope that everyone can hear me. Let's just make sure that the audio is fine. It looks okay on OBS. The mic seems to be functioning. So can I get a clear go ahead that the volume and you guys can hear me before I start rambling again and in the end it doesn't work? I had to restart the PC because there was a Windows 10 update, and because of that, nobody could hear what I said. Okay? Okay. Alright guys, I am so sorry I did not have a video for like, I think 1.5 weeks to maybe 2 weeks. Just playing too much Magic the Gathering, buying a lot of alpha Magic the Gathering cards. I think not so much of buying more, but more of buying the quality pieces. Right now, alpha cards have been going up exponentially. It has come to the point of slight crazy. Whatever is the case, whether is it because of scarcity, whether is it because of FOMO, whether is it because of BTC just continuing to go up, I don't really know. But anyway, to me, I think my hobby has really grown ever since I started it. But anyway, that's not the purpose of the video. We're gonna be talking about Reef Finance, guys, and the whole Alameda research debacle saga. Well, I would say that this is a little bit of quite a bit of a bully, guys, because when I was reading this the Twitters and everything and the articles, right, that led up to the dump that we experienced yesterday. Okay, so Alameda is basically a market maker, and I think they do OTC, and at the same time they probably own FTX, right? So the thing is, I may not be very sure, but because when you go to their website, you actually can go to FTX directly. So I would assume that probably they do own it, or at least they own a majority of it. So the thing is, I would say that this is the classic case of big boys kind of bullying the little ones. Reef Finance, I wouldn't say they are small in terms of their business and the kind of investors they have already gotten in, but I guess this was a little bit of a bad decision to kind of go into I would say an investment, right? At the end of the day, it is an investment. Alameda didn't deny that they didn't invest. They did mention that they did invest in them. However, I think why did Danko go into this and transferring the tokens without any paperwork done, any legal paperwork? That's the part where it kind of gets to me a little bit, because if you wanted the company to have your best interests at heart, right, you kind of want to bind them to something. So I'm not entirely sure what are the details, because when I was reading the blog of what Danko actually mentioned, so you can go to the their Twitter, and you can see that there is already a article that was already written by Danko, which is the CEO of Reef Finance, stating that initially it was a total of 80 million tokens, and only the first tranche of 20 million tokens was transferred. Then I think what they said was they had a ether scan showing that Alameda actually transferred that 20 million token, those 20 million tokens immediately to Binance, right? So it goes to show that there was, they sensed, probably, of course, Danko noticed that, and then after that, they stopped the remaining 60 million tokens. Okay, so kind of correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is what I'm seeing, because I kind of had to read a lot of things, and at the same time had to manage other stuff in the markets that were happening yesterday. Okay, so that being said, it's obviously Alameda took the opportunity when when the news was released. And don't forget, one thing about the tweet was from the quantitative trader. His name was Sam Trabucco. Okay, so Sam came out to say that we have no affiliation to Reef. Then I'm like thinking, you have no affiliation, but then again, you did give the go ahead to invest in the company. What do you mean you have no affiliation? So that was the part that kind of doesn't look very good on both sides already. Initially, I thought that Reef was kind of at fault for kind of jumping the gun when they haven't secured the investment But apparently they did. But because they kind of saw that movement or transfer of tokens from the wallet that they sent to, and then Alameda sending the tokens to Binance. So that's the part where probably they pulled the handbrakes, right? Because they knew that their investors are going to get dumped on. It was pretty clear, all right? So that's the part, right? If I think as a market maker, or at least when I speak to market makers, at the end of the day, you kind of want to do this very quietly behind closed doors, whatever you want to do. But whatever they did was pretty disgusting because they were able to buy the tokens, I think, at 0.038 cents. Something of a 20% discount from the current prices. So if they had a discount, so the total upside that they would have gained was about 56%. And considering they might have also taken shots on Reef as well, knowing that they would probably do something like that. So it is very ugly for the current situation. It's very ugly. But I would say that I think a lot of people need to understand what Reef actually does. So Reef is actually a liquidity aggregator. Okay, I think liquidity aggregators are going to play a very, very big part in the future of decentralized finance. Okay, and I think there's at the moment there are other companies that provide liquidity aggregation, but I think Reef Finance has made the most noise in the space so far. And based on their current backers, right, of the list of backers or investors in the company in Reef Finance, I would say that they are pretty well positioned. Now, the only thing is, of course, I think a lot of people got hurt, right? Because the moment people see the excitement and the news, they will double down on the position. So the thing was, I think when you see all that happening, right, and of course from 6 cents, almost 6 cents, people will probably double down on that high and buy at the high. And we all know that crypto is full of degenerates. They will definitely do a lot of leveraging. So whatever leveraging that was available at that point of time, or whatever derivative futures available at that time, would already have embedded leverage, right? So all those folks who kind of doubled down at whatever the price before the spike, right? It was just in a matter of 8 to 12 hours since the news. And then after that, from there, you have the individuals who would go in and then smash this whole thing out, right? So everybody probably lost a lot of money, right? Life savings or whatever. I don't know how bad it is, right? But yeah, so I would say that right now, we would probably want to let the dust settle first, and then gradually assess the situation. To me, I don't think Refinance was basically the victim of this whole thing, right? But then again, their lack of compliance or due diligence to protect themselves as a company was also kind of lacking on their part. Then you have Alameda, well, just doing their thing, right? Because they are sharks. It's clear that they are sharks, right? You got the deal and you're like, oh, okay, there was no binding legal documentation to say that we cannot trade it, right? And well, they basically capitalized on it. Like, wow, I've already made 56% on my existing positions. Why wouldn't I want to make more money on that and grow my fund, right? So that was probably what happened. It's the truth. And yes, so Moonboy is wait, let me see. Let me just show his okay, so Moonboy, yes, so yes, correct. So Moonboy mentioned threatening to delist on all exchanges and saying not to do business with Reef is a big scumbag move on Alameda's part. Correct, yes. So you see, so I think it's the big boy bullying the small startup. So to me, okay, being that I ran a startup at the time, right? I had my marketing company and had to close it down because I wasn't able to grow it or scale it up in the right way. And I kind of understand that, right? Because when you have the bigger boys coming in, you're also pressured. You're like, wow, we probably Danko obviously knew who Alameda was, right? And having that vote of confidence coming in after quite a number of years building the platform, you have another round of investment, so-called, at least you have a pure token purchase. But I think that was the part where I think the slip up on the CEO's part as well. You can't just completely blame Alameda because it's just, a big boys game, right? But then again, yeah, it is quite a dick move to kind of do that and then after that come out and come out publicly to, accelerate the dump, right? So one, they probably already had short positions. I think they probably knew, and because Reef Finance decided to pull back the remaining 60 million tokens, that's when they decided to play punk and not allow the token to continue to go up, right? Because 56% in the crypto market is like, it's not a lot, right? But they would probably wanted to have the thing to play on. But however, because Reef Finance pulled the handbrakes and not deliver the remaining 60 million, that's when they decided to come out with that tweet, right? So that tweet was from the quant trader Sam Trabucco, right? Yeah. So guys, I think you can clearly decide for yourself which side you want to take. To me, I would still side Reef Finance because Reef Finance is still building. Reputation is everything in any business. If you ask me, I think what Reef Finance had to do, they did the right thing. They pulled back the remaining 60 million tokens. And of course, people got hurt, right? It's clear that a lot of investors got hurt. Speculators got hurt. But if you've been buying kind of Reef Finance from a long-term standpoint, so let's kind of like go to the charts, right? And I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so if you've been like kind of buying Reef Finance constantly, from when it started and you bought during of course, when you do a dollar cost averaging strategy, everything seems fine. It's not like suddenly it became like 1 cent or something like that. I mean, it would be great, right? Because that's when that's when you kind of want to see where's the strength in the market. And I'm quite surprised, despite the fact that firstly, it happened during, wait, let me see. It probably happened during US timing. So when it's in the US, it's in the morning. Right now it's evening in the US, at night in the US, and the dump isn't that bad. When you think about it, the dump isn't that bad. So it goes to show that there are long-term investors, at least token holders in Reef Finance, right? But a lot of people obviously got wrecked on this candle alone. And I think long-term wise, they're gonna do pretty well. As I mentioned, everybody wants to find the best liquidity, the best rates in the market. So Reef Finance will continue to build whatever it needs to build, right? And once it does that and they are successful in that, they will redeem themselves from this thing. But for now, obviously, it is best not to kind of, start plowing your money into Reef, right? But just go in cautiously. I think if you are looking at building a position, you always do it in a very slow manner. Charting helps, right? Because had you known that it's at the all-time high, so the play was probably for most people was okay, it was a breakout, right? It was a breakout play. There was so much bullish activity, it broke out of the upward trend channel, right? So this was what happened, and then everybody wanted to load up hoping that it will go higher, but obviously that didn't happen. And then now you have, we're back to the long-term support. So I think buying at the long-term support is still okay, right? I think there's still a lot of support here. So I would say that Reef Finance, I would say that, okay, anywhere from 33 cents to about 3.5 cents to about 3.3 cents to 3.5 cents would be a very good place to start rebuilding again. But wait until wait to allow the market to kind of do its thing, because right now BTC is also kind of dumping a little bit. BTC is obviously on an upward trend channel, still looking pretty fantastic. BTC has really surprised me, guys. Of course, naturally, I came out saying that BTC is gonna dump and stuff like that, which kind of did happen. As you can see, there were a few occasional dumps, but wow, we are actually still in a very strong upward trend channel. I'm just like, I'm happy and at the same time like a bit sad, because you were hoping for the whole 2017 to happen, like you hit an all-time high, you would expect a 50% correction at most. It doesn't seem to be happening, guys. So I guess the whole market sentiment has changed. It's a little bit different now. Yeah, so Okay, let me kind of go to the comments. They are still small and trying to get Reef at a discount and dumping it right in Binance. Okay, yes, correct. Yes, so I think there's a lot of uh yeah, so that's the thing, right? I think a lot of folks are trying to figure out this space as a whole. I think the whole DeFi space, the whole NFT space is also getting really, really very hot at the moment. I think there are a lot of great NFT projects, but I think a lot of the NFT segment is gonna also have the issues or at least the pullbacks that the whole DeFi space experience. So take note, I feel that we are probably at the near term tail end of the whole NFT hype, right? If you're buying and flipping the actual NFT products, that would probably make more sense. But as in for the tokens, I think they're way, way overbought for most. For example, if you look at if you look at Engine Coin, if you look at Mana, all have done extremely well, and Mana being Decentraland, which is the whole virtual space where you can actually go and start buying virtual property, building on that virtual property. At the same time, you have I think up and coming ones like Omi or Ecomi, right? So all these digital collectibles, digital products, are going to be very interesting, right? So NFT basically just means non-fungible token where there will be always a one-off. If you've been buying, bidding, speculating, investing, flipping Beeble art, Beeble is a very, very popular artist at the moment in the NFT space. I think he made basically multi-millions. And I think I like the fact that there is royalties that you can earn when people are flipping your art. I think that's something important for a lot of content creators going forward, especially for the NFT space. So there's a lot of things going on, and I noticed that in Reef's roadmap. Okay, so let's go to anyway let's go to Reef's roadmap. Okay. So there's something that Reef kind of put out here. Reef has basically they actually have a roadmap here. And okay, so let's see their roadmap. Okay, so just a quick glance at their existing investors here. You have Master Ventures, you have QCP, Genesis Block, Bitcoin.com. What is this? Okay, this is okay. So anyway, let's go to the roadmap. Where is the roadmap? Yes. Okay. So okay, guys. What kind of piqued my interest was NFT basket. Obviously, I do not know what the heck does this mean at this point of time because it's Q3 of 2021, which is still a long way more. We are still not even at we still have not ended Q1 and we had this whole shake up in the market. Okay, this whole shake up in the market. Take note that sorry, full disclaimer, I kind of forgot to put that in the video. CG also is invested in Reef Finance, but we are very, very conservative. This makes up less than 10% of our overall portfolio of exposure, so we are definitely fine. We bought Reef at obviously various price points, but very, very conservatively through this whole time. So overall, we are okay. We took a small hit, but there's zero leveraging on our part. We don't do any exciting stuff. We are just dollar cost averaging in refinance, and that's just about it. So there's a lot of things going on. For example, you have the smart asset management, the Reef basket, pooling mechanism, Moonbeam support, and Plasma support. So okay, this is probably for the scalability and all that. Then after that, in Q3 of 2021, you have SDK. Probably you want more people to start building on Reef, hence the SDK. You have Reef Treasury, whatever that means, and mobile app initiation, right? Probably that, and NFT baskets. So whatever this means, it's going to be pretty exciting, right? For this whole year. But you know what, Reef? Keep your chin up. Don't be upset. I think overall, guys, you are going to see a change in the market very, very soon. You're gonna see a shift and integration of NFT come DeFi is very exciting. I think when initially I kind of wasn't too open to the whole DeFi thing because I was thinking, shit, it's like basically the exchanges at the time, right? Why crypto was just so hot at the time? Because compliance was very, very lax. Okay, you could have multiple accounts. You could put you didn't have to provide any documentation. Now, if you notice, most centralized exchanges require you to do facial recognition, submit your documentation, do full KYC. Okay, we're talking about Binance, Huobi, I think OKX probably does the same thing. Everybody's playing ball. Then you have the boom, right, where you have Uniswap, Sushi Swap, whatever, Pancake Swap, Moon Swap, whatever. Okay, everyone's basically copying the Uniswap code, creating their own decentralized exchange. You having the ability to work on DOT, creating more other kind of tokens as well. Raising funds through polls, stuff like that. It's that okay. There's a certain level of excitement, but at the same time, I also know that a lot of sub segments are gonna be bubbles and they're gonna burst, they're gonna disappear, and then after that they're gonna re-emerge as other stuff. So this is kind of like the space that we kind of had, but it's a little bit more evolved. Can I say that? It evolved. Okay. So right now, we only want to identify the projects that make the most sense, and at the same time, how their use cases are going to be more prevalent going forward in the future. Yeah, so I think Reef Finance to me is okay. I didn't dump anything. All right, naturally it was of course a little bit scary because the worst thing is to kind of get your investment call wrong. To me, that's the worst thing. I don't care about the interim stuff. When I was listening to many different interviews of how Danko is presenting the project, he's a very knowledgeable individual. He's not like run off the mill kind of guy. He knows his stuff. It's just that sometimes at the end of the day, you make certain decisions that are not so favorable. It's not intended, but you want to base it on faith. And I'm sure through this thing that happened, this situation that happened, he's gonna be much smarter and be more careful going forward, and I think he's gonna definitely seek help from his existing advisors, right, his backers, and they're gonna have a cup of coffee with him, obviously, but at the end of the day, he's gonna pull through. From the language and the way I've listened to this guy, he's all right, And CG is known to have always made very, very sound, solid investments, even though we have made some poor ones, but the track record still stands. We are still overall very, very healthy. So I still stand by Reef Finance. I'm still going to continue to dollar cost average and buy more of their tokens. And yeah, this is just basically a vote of confidence on my end, I guess, if you want to put it that way. Yeah. So, it's going to be a very, very exciting time, guys. Just be careful. Don't over leverage, over-expose, draw down on your credit card, take an equity loan, and just go all balls deep into something that you don't know. Try to do a lot of research. Try to get a strong network and start investing in the space in the best way that you can. Because I feel that the future of NFT, DeFi is very, very big. It's going to be very, very big, guys. And I can only continue to see. I'm just so excited. I don't even know why this space eventually evolved to the space that, when I look at traditional finance and I see how much potential there is right now, it's gonna be very exciting. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. I think you guys are awesome. Okay. Okay. What? Sorry. Probably you're gonna entertain some questions. Hi. What about the Almeida contract? Would investors be scared now? I think that investors should not be too concerned about holding Reef. Okay, obviously you're gonna have a lot of interim, short-term downtrend, right? So that's why I'm saying that if you are overexposed in Reef, right, like you went all in, like your whole portfolio is Reef, like Crypto Grinder's portfolio is less than 10% Reef, okay? So that 10% is not going to affect our overall portfolio in any way, and we have already made investment decisions preparing for BTC correcting heavily so that we can re-enter into our key long-term portfolio positions, not just Reef, but as in other stuff as well, you know. So I think one thing to take note, your risk exposure is, or managing your risk exposure or positions per token is very important. Naturally, you don't want to be too diversified into the whole space because, well, not everything is going to do well, right? So always kind of put in your money when you can kind of afford to take the long-term to mid-term volatility, to even short-term volatility, because I think a lot of people get very nerve-wracked when they see suddenly, so what I kind of feel is that a lot of people probably entered at the high for Reef and then they saw their position drop 30%. So, in relation, for example, if you have $10,000 and you put in $1,000 into Reef and you lose $300, it's not so scary. But if you probably put in the whole 10,000 and that whole 10,000 is like perhaps 50% of your liquid savings and you lost 30%, so $3,000, you lost $3,000 literally like overnight, right? Or less than 12 hours, you lost $3,000. That's a lot of money to some people. So you gotta kind of understand how that works and how it makes you feel. If you know that that is too much exposure, then you probably want to reduce your investment positions, right? Each time that you decide to do dollar cost averaging, okay? So you look at less than 1% of the liquid cash per time, less than 1%. And it may seem very small, and obviously you're not going to make a lot of money if there's going to be a pump, right? But the whole idea, how people have made their fortune, right, in crypto is usually just doing simple dollar cost averaging and holding out until the project does extremely well. I think I can name so many projects that have done that, right? Like you look at the whole NFT space, if you were in Engine, you were in Uniswap, you were in SushiSwap, you were in Hedera Hashgraph that has recently done extremely well, right? We were in Hedera Hashgraph at 3 cents, right? And now and it went to a high of almost close to 45 cents, right? So stuff like that, right? Hedera Hashgraph also is basically not is blockchain, right? Or maybe they're not blockchain, they're Gossip Protocol, right? So their Gossip Protocol is a different protocol, basically another kind of chain, right? That functions like smart contracts like that. So that has been doing pretty well. Algorand, has done pretty well, but not, of course, at the all-time high. So a lot of projects have done pretty well, but you have to give a lot of time. Like literally, we're talking about a few years and not a few months. There are pumps that are happening across multiple exchanges at the moment, right? And I think the both decentralized and centralized finance, right, will come together. Hence, I see Reef as a very, very good solution, right? It's like you want to know where you're getting the best deals, where you have the potential for arbitrage, where's the best where's the best place that you can park your liquidity to allow you to get the best rewards and fees. All these things are important. It's like basically a one-stop shop, right? You don't want to go from Amazon to eBay to so and so forth, to all the different shops. You want to have everything all in one place and you see, oh, okay, this is the best price for this particular product. So that is what Reef is doing. They're providing us that transparency across different platforms. So what they're doing, right, is practically relevant. It's actually very relevant. And for them to kind of have this at the moment, of course, it's very bad, right? It's not fantastic. People who don't really know how to read the news will get very confused. Like, what's going on? Should I dump Reef? Or like, who is Reef? Reef is probably jumping the gun and not being very honest. But actually, when you think about it, Reef got the approval from Alameda to post the article. It's not like they went ahead without their approval. They asked for approval. Alameda said go ahead. So obviously, having that first tranche, they utilized that and said, oh, okay, we're gonna definitely cause some excitement in the market, right? And then they shifted the tokens to Binance probably even before they gave the go ahead, right? And yeah, then that's what happened. So guys, you have your opinion, I have my opinion, and then we just have to assess and see how we can capitalize on this this trend. All right, guys. Then what are the gains on 10,000 and 1,000? More gains on more money, and so does the losses. Yeah, I mean, okay, so for BZRX and XEM, okay, guys, I have not been in those tokens. In fact, I don't even invest in BZRX in a while. Okay, so it's a market where I feel that if we are not connected, right, and sensitive to the market, right, I think we are gonna be the ones that are gonna lose out. The speed that we receive information in crypto is 100 times faster than the stock market these days. So literally when we started putting money into Reef, especially like yesterday, there was a lot of hype, and then after that, one of the members just basically just sent a screenshot, right, of Sam Trabuka, stating that they have no affiliation, hence because of the dump. Then I went to further research what was going on instead of panicking. See, so for me, like I said, the reason why I don't panic, well, because I've been in the space for a very long time, right? And these kind of stuff happens all the time. So I was already very confident about Reef, regardless of the price. Okay, so that's one. That caused me not to panic. So that's why I didn't, do anything, right? I just basically, went to start doing some research and found out, okay, basically this is just a big player or Alameda trying to take advantage of the situation. Whether they're big, I wouldn't say they're very big. They do assets under management about total 100 million to something like that. I mean, 100 million is not like big. They're not like $1 billion to multi-billion dollar market maker or anything like that. I've seen bigger, So to me, they are small fry. For doing this, they are small fry. I mean, look, you're taking advantage of the situation. Instead of being a long-term partner, maybe you had the intention of providing liquidity slowly through your FTX exchange, but instead you only utilize the situation for your own gain, right? To me, Alameda damaged their own reputation more than they tried to damage Reef Finance. That's the truth, what? Right? If you're moving towards a big boy level, you don't do this kind of crap. To me, I wouldn't deal with Alameda Research, not the other way around, But yes, Reef Finance should have been a little bit more, they should protect themselves a little bit more. That's all I have to say. Okay, mind sharing your thoughts about HT token and NPXS. So HT token, well, okay. To be frank, I think Huobi has always been a token that has done very, very well. Okay, they are compliant. They are a compliant company. It's just that somehow they are holding back on a lot of their. You see, a lot of what Binance is doing, Huobi is doing, right? I think both of them are comparable. It's just that Huobi tends to control their token price much more than Binance. Binance literally wants to probably compete, in my opinion. Okay, not the words of CZ or anything. In my opinion, I feel that they're gonna want to compete in terms of price with Coinbase. Now, Coinbase IPO, okay, I mean, since you're mentioning it, what's your name? Ziyu. Okay, Ziyu. Okay, so Coinbase, Coinbase basically is gonna probably do their IPO soon, right? And pre-market, they're trading at around $300 to $400. So to me, I think Binance has what it takes to kind of try to compete. But of course, Binance may not have the financial transparency to list on Nasdaq or anything like that. I'll be quite shocked, right, that if Binance was able to do that. Okay, but Binance has always been a very forward-thinking exchange. Okay, the way they do things, they're always very aggressive, and they came out off the gates very, very quickly. So, but okay, to answer your question, Huobi is more conservative. They're very by the book. Okay, so for them to kind of move, and their token is currently like anywhere, I think sub $15 at the moment. Been in Huobi token since like what $2, and then after that, $5, has been the cap for Hopi for a long time. Then if you had continued to hold on and you see the ecosystem that they're building, the Hopi pool, and then from then, they did earning. I think a lot of exchanges at least offer that at the moment. They want to provide that staking for their investors, right? Because not everybody wants to trade. It's a very tedious process. Practically, if you're trading the crypto market, you get very, very little sleep. Okay, and not many people want to lose sleep over this market, right? So I think earning, staking is kind of the go-to place. So exchanges are taking on the role of banks and more. They're literally wanting to give you that empowerment. You are the one controlling. But of course, there are a lot of disclaimers and people are very poor readers. So when people are very poor readers, I noticed that Huobi has put some fail-safes in place. For example, Huobi, for any innovation tab, for example, Reef is considered an innovation, meaning a new token. They put a $50,000 wallet cap, meaning that you can only buy up to 50,000 USDT worth of Reef Finance and no more. So you need to probably sell your holdings and drop it below 50,000 before you can even buy more. You cannot overexpose. So I think that's a very unique feature for Huobi, right? I was quite impressed, to show that, okay, because it's so-called in an innovative stage for this token, you are only allowed to buy up to 50,000. Which is very interesting. Okay, and that's something that banks will do in a very different way. Banks, on the other hand, will assess your net worth, go through a risk assessment with you, and then recommend a basket of products that fit your risk profile. But it will never stop you from buying more. You see, only the conscious banker who cares for the customer will want to prevent them from being overexposed. For example, if I feel that my client is perhaps having a very good experience from one product and they want to pump in more, but I know that, okay, the client does not have the financial capability to put in more than that amount. It is up to me, the banker who could potentially earn his or her commission from that product, to stop him or her from going and placing more money into that particular product. You see? And not the bank having that fail-safe, but look at Huobi. Huobi did something very unique. They will cap the amount of Reef tokens to 50,000 USDT. I think that's a very interesting thing, don't you think? Like, I don't see that, not that I know of, right? But it's nice to see that there are these improvements or safeguards that are in place. Okay, so for example, another thing, for both exchanges or centralized exchanges, they would want you to go through a test before they can enable the futures trading, before you can even enable margin or leverage trading. They will give you a few questions. I mean, they're not difficult questions to answer, but if you do not even identify the risks involved in enabling futures, in trading futures, or you don't even know the risk of enabling margin, then it will deny you from having that access, which is good. It's not like at the time BitMEX, right, never had all this kind of stuff. It was basically the online casino, right? You just put in the money, right? You just put in the money, and you don't even know how to operate the leverage tab, right? You're like, wow, okay, let's whack 100%. And then the next thing if you got the direction right, you made a lot of money. If you got the direction wrong, you lost all your money, right? So that's why our space is continuously evolving, and I kind of like to see that. I like to see for the fact that there are leaders coming on board, but of course, from all the leading projects and companies and people, there are also scumbags. They will also come in and try to manipulate, provide extremely exciting returns, use all the social crypto influencers. That's why, as much as I always get email inquiries to kind of showcase a project, I don't do that, guys. I just don't, because I don't want to be in the situation where I take an interview or a project and then only to get paid to only get it wrong. Okay, so I rather take my time. I hear what is coming in. I always listen to my audience. Like people who were talking about Ecomi, right? Ecomi was something that I didn't know about. So someone from the audience mentioned, have you heard of Ecomi? They are a Singapore-based project. Then they commented on the chat. And I was like, oh, okay. So they already have a app up called Veve, VEVE, which you can kind of download. There's only about 10,000, and you can kind of see the digital collectible, which they intend to have licensing with other either toy dealers or, for example, bigger corporate companies that have some affiliation. So maybe, I don't know, I'm just saying that maybe Star Wars or Disney or whatever, and then Marvel, stuff like that, so they can create the digital collectible for people to buy. I think that's very interesting, right? People could potentially want those kind of stuff, and why it links to kind of the whole Decentraland. People would eventually want to customize how their home looks like, their so-called their digital home, their virtual home. So I know that for a fact that if the NFT space creates virtual art, there are little statues that you could buy that are potentially limited editions or one-offs, cards or posters of your favorite sports stars, right? That you could put on your virtual wall while you're walking in the whole Decentraland environment, and you can kind of show off, right? Like, wow, look at all this kind of cool stuff that I have in my home. Then you have people, now with COVID, right? All these things don't seem to be that bad. It's not like unimaginable already, because suddenly you can meet in a virtual space, and then you can kind of show your whole pimped out home and your whole collection of unique digital stuff, digital art, collectibles, statues, cards, play games. Yeah, I mean, why not? I'm 39 years old. Obviously, I would prefer the tangible stuff. I would still like to meet a person, have a cup of coffee, play a round of Magic in person, right? But perhaps maybe that's something that we can't really do immediately because the COVID situation is still very, very bad. But if you're a little bit more open-minded and you kind of see where the space is going, it's really very exciting, guys. Just kind of see where is it going. Try to picture it in your head, and try to be a little bit more open-minded, and then you'll see, hey, all these things actually could work. All right, guys. That is probably all I have to say. And then okay, wait. Are there like questions? Okay, let me read the comments, guys. I'm a bit slow. Did you look at the Singaporean-based company Ramp DeFi that unlocks the liquidity from the stake access? Oh wow, okay. Up 25% since I mentioned it to you. Okay, Ramp DeFi. Okay, now unlocks liquidity from stake assets. Okay, so CK, this project, right? I would say yes, I did look into it. So basically, it's called collateralized lending. So you put in your assets, and then basically you release the liquidity on that particular project, right? I think overall, that space is important, because eventually, if we are going to have digital assets and we want to release liquidity, you always have to be over collateralized, right, in order to release that liquidity, which is a bit weird. Because if let's say you hold, say, 100 Bitcoin, okay, and you want to release liquidity on that 100 Bitcoin, you have to first put in and have faith and trust in that platform before you can put it there, because you're putting it there and they're going to release other kind of tokens or so-called stablecoin equivalent of that amount. Now, the reason why you would do that is because A, you don't want to sell off your asset. You want to just basically release that upfront liquidity, and of course you are paying an interest for that freed up liquidity. Okay, so you still own. So in essence, you still own that asset, but it's being placed as a collateral on a platform that you must trust. Can you imagine you put 100 Bitcoin and the whole platform just decides to disappear on you? That's the part that's a little bit scary to me. So are there going to be potentially DeFi solutions that kind of protect you? I don't know how that will work. Why? Because if they are going to provide you with liquidity, it has to be on their wallet, right? And that's why they release the liquidity on top of that collateralized asset, which is obviously yours, right? So that's the part where I find it very interesting, and I don't see how to really protect each other on that scale. It's very interesting. It's really based on trust, and I still am quite uncomfortable with that, because I don't really want to kind of put my tokens with a platform that is very, very new, and hope for the best that they won't close down. You know, that sounds yeah, it's a bit scary. It's a bit scary. DeFi and swapping directly is fine, right? Because when you're exchanging your tokens, there's no centralized wallet that you need to place your tokens. It's just a contract, swap, and that's it. You get your tokens, that person who is kind of trading gets the your tokens that you want, and you know the story ends. So I think it's very interesting how everything is going to function in the future. Are there additional protocols in place to protect both buyer and seller, right? Lender and the borrower and lender. So these are the few things that I kind of want to see. And recently, I think there was someone who mentioned that there is going to be additional layers that are going to be placed to kind of secure this whole ecosystem, to protect the parties that I just mentioned, right? So this is all going to be continuing to develop. If I have more information on that kind of stuff, I will let you know. Thank you, CK. I try to be smart. I'm not very smart, but I try my best to dissect this whole crazy space. What are your thoughts on Mantra Duo ticker OM? Wait, nope. Okay, sorry, I have no information on that, my friend. What do I do with Reef? Should I sell or hold it? Need genuine suggestions. I spent around 1,500. I don't want to see more dropping down. Okay, now this is a very... Okay, so obviously I kind of passed the whole Reef Finance thing, but I think, Rikash, you are in a situation where 1,500 is quite, it's quite nerve-wracking for you. So if, let's say, you were my member, okay, and you were asking a question, I would say that, okay, firstly, why do you... If you place 1,500 into this particular token, was 1,500 too much for you? Could you have probably, done it over time and in a less speculative manner, right? I know everybody wants to get rich through crypto, but sometimes we get it wrong, right? And when we get the call wrong, the current drop is very nerve-wracking. So if you are now having a lot of anxiety, and you don't want to lose more, unfortunately you might have to cut the position. Okay, now hold on, before you decide to do that, this is because your current exposure is too much for you to bear emotionally. Unless you can say that 1,500 is, but based on what you're saying, 1,500 is clearly too much for you, right? It's clearly too much for you. Then why do you put in that amount, right? So since you have already put in that amount and it's making you feel nervous that you're losing more money, unfortunately you have to cut, because the interim volatility nobody will know. Okay, as I mentioned, my personal portfolio for Reef Finance is less than 10%. It's not going to rock the boat. I'm going to feel totally fine. I went to sleep last night. It was slightly higher, above 4 cents. I think it was even 4.4 cents. It's currently dropping and will probably continue to drop because a lot of panic, uncertainty in the market. But it doesn't matter to me, because I will only add on as the position goes lower, because I clearly know what they're doing. But you probably don't know, you probably don't do enough research, and you try to get lucky, and you're now in this situation. So I would say, for you, if you decide to do something like that, and don't forget, the token may recover quicker than you think, and you could go back to your break-even point. Then what happens, right? So you are literally realizing your loss at this point in time, whatever that loss is, and if the token goes back up, you feel very shitty because you lost money unnecessarily. So re-evaluate your risk profile. Re-evaluate how much liquidity you want to put into the market, and don't listen to your friend who probably got in way earlier than you, or you listen to some YouTuber and then after you parked in your money, you read some news, and then suddenly this 1,500 you were hoping to make it 15,000 in a day. You are not that lucky, my friend. Unfortunately, Rikash, you are not that lucky. So don't try to get lucky. Try to be smart. Work on the long-term game. Play on the long game. If you haven't watched my channel in a while, this channel has been around since 2017. Okay, I am not some run-of-the-mill individual. I've been in this space long enough. I've seen enough shit. So just try to identify the shit and try to find the goal. Okay? Okay, so what do you think of Solana? Solana, no, I have not researched anything on Solana. So I have no comments. NPXS. Okay, so NPXS, guys, for NPXS, they have been doing a lot of development. So full disclaimer, I do not hold any NPXS for a very long time. But the project continues to build. They're very aggressive now on their token price. I think for once they are trying to do the right thing, right? Because their investors have been in it for a very, very long time. So I think they are definitely trying their best to regain that investor confidence, because firstly, there's just too much tokens in circulation. And eventually it's going to take quite a number of years before people, start making money. Of course, if you have bought NPXS during the low of the low, you're already in the money. But there are people who bought maybe high, and the whole market, BTC now at 55,000, is clearly smashing them from a Satoshi wise. But when you're investing in altcoins, guys, you don't want to look at how BTC is performing. But end of the day, you are banking on the company's performance, not on BTC's performance. Please take note, if you want to be in BTC, you only focus on buying and dollar cost averaging into BTC. You don't care about the altcoin market. But if you want to look at the altcoin market, you have to make sure that you identify who are the champions, who you have faith and confidence in, and you build the position for that company. You don't blame BTC just because, you don't blame the project for being shit just because it cannot take on BTC's volatility. In our space, crypto space, BTC will always so-called affect the short-term interim performance of the token. But if you look at your tokens in your basket, if you've been growing in terms of dollars, okay, US dollars on the performance of your tokens, you are going to be fine. But if you want to keep looking at BTC, your token from a Satoshi point of view, you're going to be very upset, because long term BTC always outperforms everything, because the whole world is focused on holding and kind of holding BTC as an asset. Now the holding is now in very, very strong hands. These are institutional hands. Okay, they don't pump and dump. Well, they can, but they usually tend to not do that, right? They will buy and hold the position and create new price supports for BTC. So we will never see a 4-figure BTC. It's very, very unlikely already. And even if we kind of still technically see it, it'll be so fast, and the buying activity will be so strong, the buyback activity, firstly from both retail, right? In retail investors, and of course institutions are just going to buy up more. That's the truth, okay? So do I think I will see a 4-figure BTC? I don't think so. Will I see probably a 5-figure BTC? Yeah, it's very likely, but I'm seeing that the fact that it's only March, right? It's still too early to say. We still could have that very sharp drop, but 20k is probably the lowest it will go. It will never go to like low 4 figures again. Okay, so yeah, that being said, yes, I turned 1k to 15k on Binance Smart Chain in 3 weeks, then lost it all in a rug pull. Sheesh. So sorry, man. Believe crypto. Stuff like that happens. So you have to be very, very careful, right? Because I kind of understand why you did that, right? Because you say 1k being 15k, that's 15 times. Then probably it would have occurred to you that, okay, you want to use more capital, right, to kind of accelerate this process to bring that 15k portfolio to 6 figures, and hopefully, as you continue, 6 figures becomes 7 figures. But in reality, when you make money very, very quickly, as you did, you made 14,000 on top of your 1k in 3 weeks, less than 1 month. That is more than most people's salary. That is more than most high-level professional folks' salary, right? But bear in mind, take a more conservative approach. There are things that you can invest in the long term, and you have to identify those. Slow it down a little bit. Why did I go into Magic the Gathering? I diversified could I have probably made so much more by leaving that money in the crypto market? Yes, guaranteed I would have made much more. But I managed to 1.5x to 2x my Magic portfolio, which is very small in the grand scheme of things. But that portfolio has grown to 6 figures because I started off with 5 figures and I managed to make it into a 6-figure portfolio because of capital appreciation. Yes, I could have left that money into some of the tokens that we have already invested in, and I would have made more than 5 to 10x, right? Stupid Ryan, you should have not done that. But to me, how would I really know whether the crypto market is gonna like hold all the time? I cannot guarantee that. Nobody is a god, nobody can guarantee that. So I diversified my crypto profits into Magic the Gathering, and yeah, things are looking good. And of course, naturally, I have other investments as well. These are things that you want to just continue to build on and build and grow your net worth. Okay, building and growing your net worth is very important, especially when you grow older, you have more responsibilities. You don't throw everything into the market. Okay, this is something that you have to learn over time. I completely understand being 20 years old being in your potentially teens and investing. Oh shit, hold on, give me a second, guys. Give me a sec, guys. All right. Sorry, guys. So, yes. So basically, yeah. Why do you want to sell Reef Smiley? What on earth? Sorry. What do you mean by Reef Smiley? I don't understand. I don't sell a Reef Smiley, man. Should I sell Reef? Oh, sorry. The guy's name is Smiley. Why do you want to? Sheesh. Okay. Yeah. Should I sell Reef? Look, man, it's up to you, my friend. Whether you want to sell, it is your money. You have to decide for yourself whether you want to do it or not. I am not selling my Reef. Doesn't mean that you don't want to sell your Reef, because Reef could drop another 25% and it's gonna hurt you very badly. But it's not gonna affect me. But it may affect you. Okay. Yes. Okay. Okay, guys. So I think we want to end the stream. I think the questions are quite clear. Okay. Take care. See you guys in the next live stream. And of course, naturally, always put in your money. Very cautiously. Do a lot of research. And yeah, take care and see you guys in the next live stream, guys.